Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. This is the first takeaway with Tay and Ren. It is week 10. The Packers went into Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they lost. It was a tough loss at the very end. They lost 19-23. I've got Ren on the comm links tonight, but yeah, it was boom or bust for the Packers. But man, they just fell short. They played a decent game. The eye test was there for most things, but some things just hindered them greatly again, and they struggled to pull the W out. But you know, like we said in the last episode, the one we had with Rob Domofsky, by the way, if you haven't listened to that, go check that out. It's very interesting. Yeah, we kind of said this was maybe one of their last winnable games for the foreseeable few weeks ahead. So disappointing loss from the Packers. To me, it doesn't really set things back necessarily, but it just, man, if they could just pull this one out, gain a little more confidence in this team, and get through some of those growing pains, that would have been a lot better. But now we're slapped with a loss, and probably more losses coming in weeks to come. I'll throw it to you, Ren, though. Thanks for joining me this evening. And what did you think of the game? What were your first takeaways?
Okay, they lost in Pittsburgh. Shocker. They haven't won there since 1970, and we talked about that last week. I mean, craziness. But I watched a football team play really well, and that's the Packers. They, not from a defensive standpoint, but I saw a lot of good things from Jordan today. We're on the show last week with Rob, and again, everybody should go check it out. But one of the things we talked about, hadn't seen some nice deep balls. I mean, that 3rd and 16 touchdown pass, Tay, that was amazing. Just drops it right in, throws it right where you want to. Obviously, the Dobbs corner shot was really nice. Threw it a little high, but guess what? Only Dobbs would catch it there. Nice little toe tap. So good on both those guys. I thought the Packers offense looked pretty good today. This is one of those games where there was a big non-call that should have been a call that literally is, you look at the final score, 4 points, they win. You get 6 on that touchdown. Rashawn Gary picks that ball up. He goes in there. That is clearly at least a lateral, if not backwards. It is, by the letter of law, that is a live ball. That's a touchdown. How they got that wrong, I have no idea. That just is ridiculous. But, the Packers had ample opportunities, in the second half to potentially, get a win. They got up, 19-17 at one point. You're going, all right, look at this. A battle all the way back. They're in front, and they just didn't have enough. I mean, the run D, Tay. I mean, the last couple of weeks we've been like, wow, the run D's, getting better. And here we go again, almost 200 yards to their main 2 running backs. It's over 200 yards when you account for, Kenny Pickett running another 16 yards. I mean, that one big one, late in the game, Kenny just, they're playing man and nobody's there, and he gets the first down on his legs. He did that to him a couple times today. I guess you got to give it to the Steelers. They had Zach Thomas played pretty well today. I mean, TJ Watt had 1 sack. That's the only sack of the game, I believe, for the Steelers. So they have a very good defensive line. They've got the other guy on the other side. Is that what, Antonio Highsmith? Is that the other super good DN they got? But I wasn't disappointed in the offensive play today. Like I said, I was watching. Jordan seemed to have a lot more command and a lot more confidence in the field, and that's definitely something you wanted to see today. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. Jordan, I thought, looked really good today. Those deep balls were good. There was, a few times where you want better ball placement, but overall, like, great work, and then this is when you rely on the rest of the team, and you have to have a complete game here going forward with the Packers to get a W, I think, because bad run defense, like you said, totally brutal. I mean, that first drive by the Steelers, basically they were on the ground the whole time, and then the touchdown run was untouched into the end zone. Kind of set the precedent for the whole game.
It was the same. That was the same for the second Steelers drive. It was just a lot of runs, and another touchdown. So,
and they were, they were dialing up some really good plays with, even throws out to the running back. They were doing great. I think the Steelers kind of drove the ball really well on offense against the Packers defense, just in general, I thought. But the Packers just couldn't reciprocate that. They couldn't sometimes keep their drives going. It seemed like they just kept doing. The Steelers defense stopped them, put them in some 3 and outs. But the Packers were still in this game halfway through the fourth quarter, which is strange. But then they just couldn't get it. That those big plays by the Packers that should be just weren't there again. And the Packers, I think, they on first and second down, if they falter and they make mistakes, it's just really hard on third down to convert. And you saw that in this game when they're really kind of running well, everything's timed right, and they're making less mistakes. For any team, proves that they can do good, and it turns into something. But and then special teams were bad, Ren. I mean,
you have their best run and their best pass of the season. You have to argue on that one drive. You have AJ Dillon just rumble for a big one,
40.
and then that beautiful 3rd and 16 touchdown pass to Reed. And then they mar it with Josiah DeGuara doesn't block his guy, and they get the PAT blocked. That's on DeGuara on that one, and then kicking the one kickoff out of bounds, giving them. I think that's the second drive, Tay.
Right,
the second drive for them. Yeah, gives them short field, and the special teams. You're right, was just not good at all.
I mean, when you look back, I mean they were down by 4 in the end of the fourth quarter, so. You get that extra point there, and all of a sudden you're kicking a field goal to tie the game instead of trying to go for the win. So that's huge, and
that's another big one right there, Tay. You're absolutely right.
And so to have the whole game come down to just one mistake, it's that's classic Packers, and that's what's heartbreaking and disappointing about these kind of losses. You're it's right there in front of them, but they just make a few mistakes and they can't get over that, and it comes back to bite them. Boom. Oh, it's just, that's what I agree with you. I'm not super disappointed. This was a good game played by this team, but, you look back at those couple times. I think the first half pivotal moments was the Keyshawn Nixon penalty, that led to, the Pittsburgh touchdown. And it's if that was the other way around and they didn't get that penalty, they probably get 3 there again. So that, and then you mentioned that the pass backwards by Pickett, they ruled it an incomplete pass when clearly it went backwards, and we recovered and even went into the end zone. But that was brutal. That was a pivotal moment, and that changed the course of the game. I don't know why they ended up saying that was a forward pass or a lateral pass. I think it started out straight and then it curved backwards. So maybe they were and I heard them on the broadcast.
Even if it's a lateral, Tay, I believe that's a live ball. That's a live ball. Yeah, and they kind of blow the whistle anyway, and you're what in the world? And but either way, the NFL's got to get that right, and shame on them for again still not overturning it. That was, how'd you feel when you saw it live? I was this is going to be a touchdown.
When I saw it live, 100%. I was that's a forward pass, incomplete. But then when they re-showed it, I was oh, wait a minute. But I think at the end of the day, those officials saw that and said to them that there wasn't enough to overturn the call on the field. So if the call on the field was backward pass, I think it would have stood that way. So to them, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. And I get that, right? And I think we all kind of get that. So you're coming down to humans' interpretation, and you win by that or die by that. And this time, it was a pivotal moment when the Packers could have really, got some momentum and taken the lead and just been in a better position. I guess one of the big things I want to say, Ren, is I'm actually tired and sick and tired of having these last minute crucial catches and contested catches thrown to Watson. Just period. Don't do it. Like, stop doing it. I mean, you can argue all day that Watson should be fighting for these balls a lot more. He should be better positioned. He should be, getting these balls, or at least batting them down. And in the last play of the game, the interception, that one was thrown to Watson, and I don't think he has that yet. I mean, I'm not saying that guy won't be great. He might, but don't quit throwing the ball to Watson on these plays. Throw it to Jaden Reed. Throw it to Wicks. Throw it to Dobbs. I'm kind of over throwing it to Watson on big plays. 2 interceptions on Watson throws towards the end of the game, just killers. And I don't know. I have to look at that play from kind of like up in the air a little bit, all 22, just to see what Jordan maybe was seeing when he tried to throw that ball. And obviously you have to throw the ball in the end zone. You have 3 seconds left. You need a touchdown, so you got to throw it. And most of us were probably expecting an interception there, but it was kind of like a double slap in the face when you saw it was going to Watson and he couldn't do anything with it. So it's like, whoosh, dang it. So I'm over that. I don't want him to do it. Don't have any faith in Watson.
No, I don't have a ton of faith either, Tay, and that's a great point to bring up. I mean, he is not the guy to throw in a contested moment at all. He dropped what was going to be another big third down conversion. I think that was either late in the second quarter or sometime in the third quarter, where he has it hit his hands and he starts to turn upfield and he drops it. I mean, it's just you got to have those balls. He just continues to make those kind of mistakes. He doesn't seem like a real physical receiver. Some of it second-year growing pains, I guess, with a different quarterback. I don't know. Yeah. But again, going back to the offense, Tay, I mean, you saw multiple long drives by the Packer offense, which is what you want to see. I don't think we've seen that. Yeah. God, since maybe the Bears game or part of the game with the Falcons. So again, I saw a lot of really nice things with the offense. Just unfortunately, not a lot of great things with the Packer run D, and obviously they're shorthanded without Jair out there, and not the best, but I'll give it to the defensive secondary. They still played pretty well. Kenny didn't do much, so.
Here's a stat I'll leave you with, Ren. The Packers had passes for first downs. They had 13, and the Pittsburgh Steelers had 6. So we did really well with passing for first downs, and just generally the passing game was pretty good for the Packers today. Conversely, rushes for first downs, Packers 3 and Pittsburgh 12. So I think that kind of spells it out what kind of game this was for each team. Obviously, the Steelers were better at running against our bad run defense, and the Packers actually kind of picked up with their passing offense and were able to do a lot of good things with that. You got anything else, Ren, about it?
Not really, man.
Okay.
Again, I felt pretty good watching the team. I mean, the offensive part, they seem to play a pretty solid game, and you got to pin this one on the defense, I think, and unfortunately a little bit on special teams, as you mentioned. They got the one big call wrong, but yeah, if you just get that extra point, that last drive, nice 2-minute drill, get them down to the 16. Yeah, you can kick a field goal there, and you go live for another little bit of time in overtime and see if you can't get a W. So you can't make those little mistakes because the Pittsburgh Steelers, listen, they're now 6-0 in 1-score games.
Yep. Yes, the Pack. Well, they take on the LA Chargers next week at noon. It's at home, so looking forward to a West Coast team coming to Green Bay next week. Hopefully, it's inclement weather for them to take them out of their element. We'll see, but. This is the first takeaway. We do a regular podcast episode during the week. Last week we had Rob Domofsky of ESPN come on, so go check that out if you missed it. Otherwise, we look forward to you joining us this coming week. Ren, thanks for joining me tonight, and take care, Universe.
Good night, Universe.